Okay, we're going to open the meeting for the Conservation Commission, September 20th, 2023. And I want to note that we're also on Zoom, so speak up when you speak so that people can hear you and save the meeting.
And we are recording.
Yeah, and I think the people that are online right now know us, so there's no point in introducing ourselves. We'll just go around really briefly. I'm Judy. This is Ted.
I'm Ted.
I'm Bonnie.
Tom. Greg. John.
Cheryl. Okay. Open the hearing for 167 Sessions Drive. Just for removing trees. Yeah, the trees, as I remember, they're behind the house.
Yes.
The house was built in 1996, so it's allowed to have some exceptions. You're right on the border. If your house was built before August 6th of 1996, you're exempted from some river conditions.
Okay.
So you can fall into that category. There is near total riverfront coverage on this parcel. The front part is all 200-foot riverfront. The back part is 100-foot riverfront. Everybody wants to see the map.
Oh, got it up here.
Oh, good. Yeah.
That one I have.
Right.
That one I managed to get loaded.
So the green checks are 200-foot riverfront resource area. The purpley pink one is 100-foot riverfront resource area, and that blue line is the brook. It's near the South
Branch Mill River.
Mill.
And the houses were going to be built today, all of them will not be built.
Right.
All of us are illegal.
Yeah, and there's certain neighborhoods where everybody along the river was there before the Riverfront Act was passed in '96. So you fall under most of those exemptions. The main issues are to make sure that all the work stays 50 feet away from the bank of the, you know what a bank is, right? Okay. The bank of the river. So you're exempted everywhere except 50 feet from the river.
Okay.
And I've passed you the conditions. They're pretty standard tree cutting in the riverfront conditions, which we run into very often. You need to give the contractor a copy of these conditions. And we're specifying that no delineations have been done on this by a consultant. We're just taking the maps as close enough.
Okay.
Whatever they take into the backyard to get to those trees needs to be the minimum equipment that they have to use to get the trees down. They should park all the rest in the
All right. They told me that nothing, they brought a crane in or anything. It had to stay on the hardtop.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
well, yes, our driveway goes down in the side of the house.
And
yeah,
we thought that the contractor should be able to do it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since it's already there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's next to the river, there's a 25-foot no disturb zone, which you're not going to bother in this particular round, but since you're here, we'll just make sure you know that you can't cut trees that aren't urgent. You can't mow. What else can't you do? You can't just do anything that's going to disturb the soil in that area. If you need to cut a tree there, you can get permission from the commission, but you just have to make sure you do that.
Mm-hmm.
For all the other trees on your property, you stay within these rules. You have 3 years to take them down. This will last for 3 years.
Okay.
But that 25-foot zone, that's a no disturb zone. So we have different special rules for that.
All right.
Okay.
fairly confident, I knew the trees are outside that, they're even probably outside.
I don't know about the 50. I didn't actually walk down there.
Yeah,
25 anyway.
She has a lot of poison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the brook is,
It's outside the 25 anyway,
Yeah,
for sure.
if you look at the curves, her trees are, I'm guessing
Well,
somewhere out there.
I'd say like right on that purple and green line next to the one.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe,
okay.
maybe a little bit farther over too,
So if
like
you see
right there.
The width of that is theoretically 100 from the river, which is obviously they move all the time, so.
Yeah.
That's probably more like 25, I
Yeah,
guess.
like right where your cursor is, more or less.
But you're allowed to take vehicles to where you have to, because you're exempt from your age of your house.
Okay.
You're allowed to take a vehicle there to cut the tree. Okay,
No, yeah, like we said, we
you
can.
may not need to, but
Yeah.
if something happened, like they decide they can't.
Oh. Yeah, they should be able to from the driveway.
Okay. You're also allowed to cut invasive plants.
Yeah, there's no vines, that's what's killing the trees.
Yeah, she has some kind of vine, just totally.
Poison ivy, believe it or not, is not considered invasive. It's native.
Yeah,
But
I'm allergic to it.
bittersweet, multiflora rose, barberry, those are the ones you mostly find around here. You're allowed to cut those even up to the river's edge if you do it by hand.
Okay,
Okay. And you can do vista pruning, which means you can cut a hole essentially so you can see the river. So you can cut branches and you can trim down shrubs so that you can see through and see.
okay. That'd be nice.
Yeah. I think everything else is self-explanatory, but if you have any questions, you can always just call Bonnie.
All right.
Ask. So I'm proposing a negative determination 2 and 3. Because some of this is in riverfront and some of it's in bank buffer.
Is that a motion?
That's one thing.
I don't second it.
Anybody have any questions? Favor?
Aye.
Yes. You have no questions?
What do you mean by negative? Just.
Oh,
what it
negative.
says?
Okay.
It's opposite.
Negative is a positive.
Okay.
If we said a positive determination, then you would have to get a consultant, get delineation.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And submit an NOI. If we say a negative determination, it's like, we can think of conditions that keep the property safe enough that you don't have to do it.
All right.
Would you follow this?
Yeah, follow the rules and.
Good.
You're good.
Okay,
Okay, so the hearing is closed. Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Wait a minute. We have to sign this.
They have to give you a piece of paper.
All right,
Uh-oh.
and then I keep this posted while they're working.
You lose
Yeah,
it?
I just hand it to the contractor because he needs to write the details.
I lose it?
No, it's down bottom.
We're calling Ed's Tree Service.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Get an estimate from them.
Oh, that's because of the,
Yeah, that's,
When I exited out of
Yeah,
the,
it's coming
yeah.
better.
yeah, he's the cheapest.
That would be nice.
Next, we're going to do 778 Main Street.
That's me. Should I come up or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so sit over there.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
You're Lauren? Yes. Oh, Lauren.
And-
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for asking. It's Lawrence.
Oh,
Thank
so-
you.
Do I need to sign anything or take anything?
Pardon me?
Do I need to sign anything?
No, you're all done.
Thank you.
You should get a copy.
We're not gonna give her a copy of it now.
Bonnie, should
Pardon
get
me?
a copy of one of these?
I have 2 copies. She'll walk away with one
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. and one we keep.
that's you, I hope?
That is, yes.
As you can see, this property, open the hearing for 778 Main Street. This is a very complicated property.
Yes.
There are 2 riverfronts. The left-hand side and the lower side of the property. There's also a small riverfront in the upper corner that crosses the street, so there's actually 3 rivers.
Yeah, I gotta put it back in order.
There's,
That little culvert that's on the side.
Okay.
yeah, there's 2 effects of marsh.
No, just take a second.
So 3 effects of marsh, but 1 doesn't really count. The one across the street has a buffer that extends into your property. The little one in the back there,
That one.
yeah, has a buffer, that blue buffer that goes into your property.
Surface circle.
Yeah, that's marsh buffer. And one at the back has a buffer, but since it crosses the river, we kind of didn't explore that. You also have 3 vernal pools, which is very unusual.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Those blue dots are vernal pools, and they have relatively extensive buffers.
Okay.
Behind. They're out there on.
Yeah, they're not on her
Oh,
property, yeah.
There's
Yeah, but
one
the
over
buffer around them extends into your property.
Oh, wow. So they're not on her property.
Right.
They're-
Okay, that's why I couldn't, I said, where are your
Buffer is.
Yeah, so the buffers for those, it's actually also one way here. Extend
Mine's over
100 feet from the mean annual high water line, and they're flood zones. So they tend to be wide, and then there's another 100 feet. So pieces of that also stick into your property.
Oh, wow.
So it is complicated.
Okay.
And my husband and I wanted nature. We found it.
Got it.
We found it.
And once again, the same as I was telling Ms. Bromley, the riverfront and the marshes also have a 25-foot no disturb zone. That means you can't mow there, pull stumps out. You can cut trees with permission, but you can't. So you can cut invasives down to the ground by hand.
When we were there, we told you can't cut the stumps.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's fine. We
But on the
understand
rest of your
that.
property, you can't. You just can't do it.
She only has them.
Yeah, she's got this tiny spot. Okay, and the same for your property. We're taking what's on the map as a given.
Okay.
And not declaring it delineated. If you wanted to do something complicated, you'd have to get consulted.
Sure, oh, that makes sense.
You might have put
They
additional.
do soil tests and all
Sure,
kinds of stuff.
We're good on that. We're just-
Or even a garage or something.
Okay, that's good to know. We will.
Yes, or garage, shed,
Sort of
you're not in that
anything.
area. You're actually in one area, so you don't have to file the piece of, you get away with one thing.
Oh, that's good. That's nice.
So your list of conditions is a little bit longer.
Okay.
I think. No, we only have 1 copy. Do you have copies that are on the form fund?
A copy of that map?
Conditions?
Yeah, I have all the conditions.
Okay, so they're pretty much
For
the
her,
same
that's what
conditions
we're asking.
that I
You have a
told
copy.
her.
Yes.
About equipment and only taking it where you have to, a minimum amount of equipment that you have to. And in your condition, in your situation, we're also strongly recommending nets.
Sign.
So not for that front piece where there's nothing.
Okay.
But if you need to cut trees that are farther back, closer to the marsh or closer to the river, then we would recommend they can put down these mats that they drive across.
Oh, sure, sure.
So
And will that be in the paperwork that? Just,
it'll be
okay, great, perfect.
On this one here.
Yes.
If you remember, the white is up in here, so most of the trees
most of the stuff you said you wanted to do.
are
Is in that.
basically outside. They go in a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah.
But not much.
Oh, that's lucky, okay.
And there's also an extra condition that if they're working in heavy rain, they're supposed to put up silt barriers.
Okay.
But they probably won't work in heavy rain.
Right, right.
In
But
this
if they were, because you're gonna assume you're high here and it's flowing toward the river.
Okay,
So if they have a lot of silt, you don't want to float.
right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you just, they put hay bales or bottles, but
Is that from all the?
that would only be if you wanted to.
Most of the
pull
trees
some
are
out.
here.
The ones
have
you want to
white
cut.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Most of them. I mean,
Right.
they extend into it a tiny bit.
yeah.
Okay, this lasts for 3 years.
Great.
And I specified at the back that you can do any trees that can be done under these conditions.
Oh, thank you.
So if they get there and they say, what about that one over there by the pink spot? You can do that.
Thank you. That's great.
For this one, I'm recommending negative determination 2 and 3 with special conditions. And to note that she's allowed to do more trees.
Okay. Fine with me.
Somebody has to second
Second.
that.
Somebody seconded?
I did.
Yep.
Tom did.
Okay, all those in favor? Any questions?
No, I don't think so. Thank you all very much. I appreciate that.
Then just wait till I get it signed.
Take your time, no worries. Thank you.
Not my day. I got.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
This is one. Yeah, one's whole. Thanks.
Yep.
Let me just check them.
Oh, sure, thank you. Is anybody from the VFW here?
I'll see.
Okay. Okay, open the hearing for 190 Main Street, which is the Pasadena VFW. And they made a request for removal or replacement of the pavilion roof. The pavilion is directed in the conditions for this one.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yes, he's around.
I need my pen to. Thanks.
The main thing with this property is that there is riverfront that we talked about before.
This is for the special condition. Are you with the VFW? Are you with the VFW? No.
My house.
For the next couple items, I have to look at any visual.
Just kind of important in this case.
I couldn't try to connect to the VIF. Try that.
No, it's okay. Okay, what I will tell you is there's very obviously riverfront, on this property. And the pavilion is only about 25 feet away from the pavilion's right here. It's this gray square past this round. And you'll notice that there's riverfront that crosses half of the pavilion. Actually, half of the pavilion is in bank buffer, not in, we've always presumed it was all riverfront. But that's how it's mapped. So we accept the maps, we have to go by that. This riverfront comes from up here on the neighboring property. And this is essentially where the culvert comes in, and there's kind of a stream there that makes that. The reason I think that they don't show riverfront here is that if there's even a little bit of BBW, then the BBW sticks out a little bit farther than the buffer maintains. So anyway, at least half the building is in riverfront, so we have to deal with riverfront and buffer.
You can see the light gray hashing, that's the pavilion. Pass it down.
They'll try to see it. So I'm recommending a negative determination number 3. The maintenance of the structure, which was built before 1996, part of it was built in 1957, and the building was built in 1960. The building was constructed in 1973, so it's still before the 1996. It's within a 100-foot wetland buffer and within a 200-foot riverfront resource area. By the riverfront rules, it's exempt because it's repair work on a prior existing structure. It doesn't qualify as exempt under buffer zone. So you have to actually exempt it. It's a good thing they went ahead and filed with us. We filed just to be sure. And as long as we determine that the bank and buffer boundaries are apparent and we can condition the work if I proposed all of our normal rules for work near the river. I strongly encouraged the mats because they're almost surely going to go in on that bridge side. And there's no way they can avoid being in a bit of the no disturb zone. I'm asking them not to work on the riverside of the pavilion in that 25 feet. And I'm specifying that they can remove invasive plants by hand if they want to. Once again, I'm specifically asking them to give the contractor, because there's going to be a contractor that manages volunteers, the contractor needs to be really sure of what the rules are. Are there any questions about that? So again, I'm adjusting a negative determination number 3, which says that it is within a regulated zone of the work conditions.
Second.
I should say too that I sent a separate letter to Mr. Trevelyan, relatively long letter, explaining the riverfront as it applies to their site, and specifically what things had changed recently, because there was a little confusion about the laws. changing recently. You know, former President Trump often goes around in speeches and says he got rid of all the environmental rules, but so there is a change which hasn't really affected Massachusetts yet because of our state laws, but that long term will disqualify some wetlands that are upstream from being considered as wetlands anymore, which is not good, but that hasn't happened yet. Okay, so all those in favor of a negative determination 3?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Oh, I thought John Flynn, but I'll see him now.
Yeah, I did say his name.
I saw it. Where'd it go?
Left.
Yeah.
Where's the waiting room?
Usually says it at the top if they're waiting.
Yeah,
Carolyn,
it did.
Gina Spilio's here and also Cindy. That's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, Cindy.
No, there was a notice that popped up, said John was,
That John was
Waiting,
trying to get
but-
in, then he disappeared.
Okay.
No.
So we don't need this.
ma'am, sign the sign-in sheet over there, please.
I don't know if everybody did that came in.
Yeah, the others did. Ma'am, can you sign the sign-in sheet?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, I'm gonna stick for anyone chafing in here. This was for an extension of the driveway and also parking. But there's no RDA for that. It was just a question and a site visit.
Yeah, they seem to be outside the area, so.
So,
You want to see it?
Which one was that?
Cheap.
Peyton Road,
Driveway.
there was a long driveway, and then I guess there was some concern about the driveway turns to the right and therefore it approaches the buffer.
Oh, the new one we went to?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I went Chapin?
Yes, and by my measurements, they have about 86 feet of leeway from the property line, if we take the current maps. Think they were within that or?
Road.
Okay. Here's a map. Look and see whether you think it was in or not.
Wood piece, the
Okay, so the driveway, you can
Did you-
see, comes along here.
here, and
That's
it's
the-
right on the edge, that's right on the edge, and then they put one up here. My only concern at the time was turnaround.
Yeah, there's a little turnaround
Yeah.
like right here.
Well, that's okay, 'cause that would miss. What I was worried about was up here.
No,
'Cause-
this is the existing driveway, it's like right here,
Mhm.
on this side of the house, it stops like right there. See those
Okay,
black marks?
so they're not within that buffer. Okay. And as I said, even if they went back there, they have 86 feet. So,
So here's here's the house, there was a driveway up in here. And another driveway right up, so you can see the ridge here.
It
want
doesn't,
to pass this around?
it doesn't go back that farther, it only goes to the edge of the house.
Yeah, yeah, and then there was a turnaround right here.
Yeah,
Here, and he's putting in sidewalks here, and the drive goes up this way. The drive goes and ends right about at the end of the house.
yeah.
So he's not really encroaching on any.
He's right on the edge. Right on the edge.
on the buffer.
This is downslope, all this.
Yeah.
Here is downslope into the wetlands.
So we should write him a note and tell him, don't go any farther.
It's all done, isn't it?
Well, he's, no, he's doing a lot of work, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
He's doing a lot of work, yeah.
Would one of you be willing to write a letter?
What do you want for contents of the letter?
Tell him that where he is so far is right on the edge and he's okay, but he shouldn't go any farther south, any farther toward his facing the property, toward the right-hand property.
Yeah. Oh, John's in the
There he is.
waiting room again.
Oh, is it here?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Okay, so we won't ask him to file, we'll just ask him to stay where he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as he doesn't go in to mine.
Well, he can't go back there anyway, because that's where his septic was.
Well, yeah, but we'll go this way,
Yeah.
well, over the bank, that's.
Yeah.
Is what,
Right.
It could happen.
right. You could say I want to driveway double wide or something, that's.
Mm-hmm.
As long as he knows that there's about 86 feet. That the buffer comes. The mass mapper never shows the buffer, so it's always frustrating, but it comes in about 86 feet near that back.
You all set on this thing?
Yep, we're all set on that.
So then you're not gonna require a,
No, we're not gonna ask for an RDA, we're just gonna ask him to stay where he is.
okay, because he said he would fill one out if you wanted it.
No.
Okay.
The next one is 175 Stafford. Are they here?
175 Stafford?
No. Okay. This was a certificate of compliance for, they had filed way back in 2014 for a septic repair and just never got their certificate. Now they're selling the house, so.
Oh, this is the one we didn't go look at.
No.
One way out. Yeah.
It was only septic, and the septic itself actually went farther away from the riverfront and the house.
Okay.
The leach field, which was the party question. We write continuing conditions on their original permit, and I rewrote the continuing conditions for them. Just to clarify for the new owners. And we'll add maps because they have riverfront and natural heritage. And so we want to make sure they know that there's rules. But we're going to suggest that we approve these compliance.
I also included a certificate of compliance from 9/11/2014 from the Board of Health.
Good, thank you. You already have the letter in the maps, right, Bonnie?
A what?
You already have the letter in the maps.
Yep.
And I'm sending them a copy of this that explains the riverfront rules and the buffer briefly, so. Does somebody want to propose a vote, a motion?
Oh, there you go.
It's. Here's the first, so where's it?
75 Stafford Road. Certificate of compliance, parcel 5001000.
The completion of
For, yeah,
septic installation.
for completion of a septic system, leach field. No, okay.
All those in favor?
Wait,
Aye.
you have to have a second. So,
Oh, second, second.
I'll second.
Tom seconding.
Okay,
now I'm asking.
All in favor?
Aye.
motion is passed. And then there's a second certificate of compliance. Um,
Signatures.
Somebody's not on mute.
Oh.
Sounds like a door squeak.
Yeah, I haven't got things confused. I ran out of folders. I just. Anyone here from 551 Glendale Road? Okay, you want to come up? Okay, this is another application for a certificate of compliance from
Oops, I did it wrong.
the Gallant on
That's all right.
551 Glendale Road, lot 4. So 1002. No, I'm sorry, 32001002. And this was for the house building itself. So this was an order of conditions. It was a little bit complicated when they built it. There is bordering vegetated wetland in the front yard, which comes from a pond next door. And there were also drainage issues from land to the other side, under the driveway, and the driveway that started stopping the drainage that should have been going to the PW. So there were mandated culverts under the driveway, and there are also permanent monuments. It was a delineated property, so they're marking the PW. Did you have anything to say about the visit?
Well, what I saw with the culverts are there, they look fine, but there's no what you would call permanent markers. He put boulders there instead.
Oh,
Yeah. No
And he
permanent
was
marker.
told by someone that he could do that instead.
well, way back, they did used to say that. They used to say markers were very large.
And they are there. They're big boulders and they're, like 25 feet apart,
Okay.
all on that whole edge.
This was way
Yep.
back, so. Okay. And the other note is that the new owners need to know that the current rules don't allow any disruption of BBW. So originally, I know the Galants were mowing it like twice a year, that area, and it can't be mowed. They can go in and they can hand remove invasive plants, but otherwise they have to let it grow up.
Within the barrier.
Right, within that barrier. So that's in the conditions. There are 3 permanent conditions that are ongoing from owner to owner. And it includes the culverts being functional, not impairing the BBW, which means don't mow it and reason, and the permanent monuments. Here, there's a copy of this if you need it. That's just the company. You have conditions to attach.
I got everything, okay.
So with that, I was recommending that we approve it.
Okay,
If if you would like to change to our ordinary but permanent markers, we could. It's kind of a reversing a condition that we allow.
It's fine as long as it blocks people.
I don't see the boulders.
Sounds like the
moved.
assumption,
Yeah.
the way
Yeah,
they're supposed
I mean,
to keep it.
they're not gonna move where they are. Nobody can even get to them. I couldn't even walk up to them,
All right, so
but I can see them.
all those in favor?
Aye.
I did not put small,
Huh?
I did not put small.
Okay,
Did you actually make a motion?
yes, I did.
Okay.
I moved that we approved it. And Tom
Tom
seconded.
seconded.
He seconds
You
it.
nodded.
You seconded it?
No,
Tom seconds.
Tom.
it. It's
I
fine.
must just stamp that.
yeah,
Okay,
Left here.
wait for some signatures.
We gotta do
Signatures.
Where'd you say you were moving to?
Right now, I'm just moving down a little bit. But
Oh,
looking for it. I'm looking.
yeah. Whatever.
Really difficult trying to find something like that.
I hear you. It's too bad, but I get it.
I'll build another one.
Yeah.
when this gets all signed, you can walk
That's
away with
right.
it.
What did I say?
Oh,
Well, I just gotta walk over.
I
here.
still gotta
Oh.
are they both signed?
No,
No,
no, wait, not Judy.
Sorry.
She's
I'm
pushing paper.
confusing myself.
She's pushing paper. Are you all Scantic Meadows now?
You put your glasses on.
That's this thing.
Okay, and then, not last, but near last, we had a request to discuss, development at Scantic Meadows, Kibbe Lane. You can drag some chairs up.
Not all up, everybody who's involved.
You can pull a couple more chairs up there.
Where's Scantic Meadows?
Yeah, drag your chairs.
Off of Summers Road.
Summer.
Helder Road. It's the old Kidney,
Where is this?
it's the old Kidney farm and
Where?
Across the road from
It's big old-
this.
This over on Summers Road, the Kibbe Lane,
The new street?
Yeah.
Right out, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
also called Scantic Meadows.
I never
I'm
got
not-
that.
I can't picture
Yeah,
it.
just, it started out as that.
Okay, we'll get this straight.
Yeah, those two
And
brothers were
then
gonna build there a
there's
few years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't show on the maps, by the way, so I'll try to write it. Here's a couple of maps things.
Just watch the wire.
Here you go.
I don't
Very good.
have this.
Yep.
In this back section, off of Kibbe Lane, off of the road that will go, I guess, way back. There are several things that you need to be aware of. There is a bog, which is near the front there, one of the fun looking things in it. There is also a shrub swamp, marsh, whatever you want to call it. And right in the middle of that, and you can hardly see it on the map, but it's next to the SS, there's a blue kind of star. That's a burn proof. And it is a certified burn proof. So by Hampden wetland bylaws, that has 100-foot resource area outside the mean annual high water line. So that means around the pool, there's a place where the water rises when it's flushed. You can see it in the number of views, but consultant will give you that for you. And then there's 100 feet past that. That's essentially, you can think of it as buffer, but it's actually a resource area. So you can't go in there. And then the swamp and the bog both have 100-foot buffer, which has a little bit different.
Now, the bog that you're referring to, is that they called it the farm pond?
No, the farm pond, this is the bog, and this, the farm pond's over here.
Okay.
And actually, at this point, it's called a deep marsh. The last time they reviewed it, they decided that a lot of sediment, I think, went in some of the nearby houses. And it's now considered a deep marsh.
Fairness. Has changed that much. It's really shallow.
I'm not sure what other questions you have, but to do anything back there, you are going to have to submit either NOIs or ANRADs. You know what an ANRAD is? It's an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. So rather than proposing a house on a particular lot and then getting conditions around that, you're getting it all delineated without any specifics about the houses. And then you know what line you have to work with when you develop where the house is to go. So it's a little trickier, and if you don't know exactly where you want to put things, that's one really easy way to go. Okay.
The ANRAD is, what is the process for that?
You get an environmental consultant,
okay,
who goes out and delineates all the wetlands that they can find. Now, this is going from just the maps that are online, which are never quite accurate. They're always a little bit off. And there's often another wetland somewhere that we can't see. That's why we always do a site visit. We walk the property. So they'll go out, they'll examine the whole property. They'll do soil tests. They use plugs from the soil to see if it's a soil that stays wet or dry. They can tell from it. And they'll look at the vegetation that's growing there, and they'll make you a map with all the backup paperwork that goes with it. And then if you get that map approved, then you know exactly where all the borders are of everything that you have to work with. So if you develop your house, you know you might need to move it right or something like that. Some minimal intrusion on buffer zones is allowed, but Hampden also has a 25-foot no disturb zone that falls around all of these. So you can't go any closer than that, no matter what.
I think it's specific lines there.
There's a whole section to the back of this. It needs to go that direction.
and we do have a set of questions. That's because we have looked at it, and the questions are from the buyer's attorney that's not present, I mean, the realtor for the buyers, or and then Joseph, and then the seller is here as well. But our questions are around the 100-foot notice of intent area. So you're saying that you think an ANRAD would be a better way to go than those notices for individual lots?
You can do either way that you like. But if you're thinking about developing a whole area, the key thing is to just get it all done in one big swoop. If you don't want to, all you do is, have them delineate one parcel. And, if there's any wetlands, you have them define the limit of work for the house.
Okay, and there were approvals in place previously when the project was underway. And those have expired, which is why we're here to learn more about next steps. So the understanding we have is that a notice of intent, if we go that route, would be needed for lots. And they are marked with the little circles, and I'm not sure if it's helpful for me to list them off, but specifically, the belief was that the ones that were impacted by the conservation land were lots 3, 5, 6.
There's no lot numbers on here, so I can't tell.
There
you.
are on the map. There
Here.
are circles like number 12, number 7.
Scoot it a little. These consider.
Maybe you
Yeah.
can shrink it.
Yeah, there you go. So there's 5 that she's talking about right there.
Okay, 7, you can see where the buffer is already.
Right, so these
cool.
would require notice of intent in order to,
If you want to encroach on that buffer,
if we're
Then-
keeping the 100-foot.
if you build outside that 100 foot and you don't do any construction or anything, you put wattles there while you're building, then you don't need anything.
Okay.
You're outside.
Or we would need it.
But the ones in the back were never delineated, so those you still would have to do.
So which lots are we talking about here?
Yeah, so I
Those
have
are back.
remaining,
Was there a specific line here?
all of them were done.
If you
My
get a
understanding.
delineation, it lasts for 3 years. So technically that delineation is also no good.
Right.
But I'm willing to say it was carefully delineated, all the houses were built near it, so I think you can just take that as accepted. For all the rest, nothing was built back there. I think they're dead.
So
That's my opinion. Rest of the commission?
Which ones are we talking about?
Okay, that little corner one that's at the corner of the farm pond.
Right here?
Right there,
Okay,
that one was never built on.
Right.
right,
So
Okay.
technically, we can require another delineation, since
Yeah.
nothing ever happened on that lot.
okay.
And it's been way over 3 years.
It's been way over.
Yeah. And with the situation there, that,
You want,
I'm
okay, it's up to
saying,
the commission.
it's up to the rest, I say they have.
Judy, do you know where the vernal pool is too that you were talking about?
So back in this back one, see that
Oh,
little
okay.
spot?
Yep, gotcha.
Okay, so yes,
We have
the
here.
commission says yes.
So you said the situation is, like, what's the situation?
Well, a lot of things were built way too close, the septics were put inside the buffer without permission, and a bunch of other stuff, I don't even want to get into it.
for the
Um,
existing houses.
Yeah,
And
so
enough
I,
years have changed, you don't know what's changed in the pond.
yeah, the wetness certainly
wetness
has
was-
changed over
The
time.
water's changed.
A lot of the houses were pretty during drought.
Okay,
Yes.
so if I could ask about the specific lots, because it sounds like we
Okay.
need to have the delineation done, and at least those that our understanding is were
So
needed.
7 years.
7,
There you-
okay, 3, 5, 6. We talked about 7, and the other 2 are 8 and 10.
Where's 8?
10, yes.
Where's 10?
There's 10
10
right
is
here.
this corner next to the bog.
It's 10.
Where's 6?
It's right next to 7, and 5 is as well.
5713 is 6.
Yes.
That's 6 there.
6
To the
is
right of the
yes.
one you got highlighted, Ted.
5 is
Right there,
yes.
that's
Yeah.
6. Then 5,
4.
4.
Yeah, you need you
Oh,
need flags
these
on those
two are-
because
these
it's
two
a
are
really
bad.
small amount of space to work in.
Which
So those are gonna have to get reflagged.
5 and 6.
5,
Four and
6,
6.
7.
5 and 6.
7, so actually all 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 8. And what were the other numbers?
3 and 10.
3, where's 3?
3 should be
Here's 3.
where?
Right here. This
That's
is
3.
the
Oh,
big one.
that's
And
definitely.
that's all
Yes.
in there too, so
Yes.
Yes.
And 10 is the big back, right?
And 10 is this
10
one,
is this
yeah.
big one that has the whole thing in the front.
Yeah.
Okay.
11, no. 13, no. Well, yeah, 13 goes near the ball, so. Yes.
13's a yes.
Just make mention that houses that were built they were built by a party to which sold the houses, sold the lots. They built the houses. They were responsible for their own conservation permitting, so essentially that happened in price of lots. And that's not in its making.
It doesn't change what happens with them. What happens with them is just right now. It's just that there have been times when the commission was small and barely functioning, sorts of things like that. So just the rules are a little bit different. It's doing what it's supposed to. We're all guilty because I was here, she was here. So anything else?
So then essentially there's how many lots? Six.
So that's what she was talking about earlier, is that you can do NOIs for each individual lot and each individual development. Or if you do an ANRAD for the whole area, then you can have the whole area delineated. And then when you come, you will be able to tell which ones will require an NOI, which ones might not.
Okay.
So it might
Just do a
simplify the
fair
process to do the
percentage,
ANRAD.
The majority.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all the ANRAD does, it's not, you're not asking about building anything. It's just asking an environmental consultant to come out and map all
Where
of it.
exactly?
Whole thing.
To map it, because this
Where
is,
exactly are those borders?
this is best guess.
All that.
It's not been done by a professional.
They basically do these from maps that have already been developed and approved, or they use orthos, the overflies that they do every few years, and they go in, you know, space by space, and they're very good at looking at them and deciding where those things are. And then they match everything for changes. And sometimes they send us out to look for changes. So that's basically where these maps come from. So obviously they can grow. In particular, streams shift humongously. Sometimes there's a big hook in it that just straightens out. Usually bogs and marshes kind of stay where they are, but they might go down a little bit. So you want to know exactly where those borders are.
So we have the previous order of conditions. So is that at all helpful to this process, or you're saying all of that would be expired?
They're expired.
Okay.
Generally, the conditions of, well, there are no conditions in an ORED, which is a response to an ANRAD. We just basically say, yes, we agree that those are exactly the delineations. Okay. And essentially we have you even take GPSs of some of them so that they can be relocated. Say if somebody builds a house on the 3rd year, you can still locate where those flags should go. So you don't have to get it redone. And we agree to exactly where the wetlands are and aren't. And then everything else is much easier to do. And the conditions usually go, if you do an NOI and you say, I want to build a house here, then we're saying you need to put a buffer between the house and this thing, or how much distance you have to keep, whatever. So there wouldn't be any conditions if you did an NRED, there would if you did in the plot. On the other hand, you can go straight to the house building pretty easily after the NOI. It's all defined.
These order of conditions that we have, lastly, they have been extended 2 times previously. Does that leave any room for consideration of extension?
Only if the extension went into this year.
Okay, no, doesn't. There's just a straight showing.
And you have to, when you get it, when you ask for an extension, you have to apply so many weeks ahead of time before it's ever up.
Before it expires. It's one of those rules. Yes.
I was actually the person who's handling it. I'm Tom Spade. I handle the conservation issues. After the certificate of compliance expired, because protection. We did RDAs, I know, you know, construction that for areas that didn't involve jurisdiction. So those are actually
Yeah, if it's already registered. That's fine. We wouldn't have anything to do with that. It's already been approved.
Yeah, as far as would you guys happen to have any records of the perk tests that were done on the lot? Or no?
Not us,
No, that would be the planning board.
or the,
No, that would be the Board of Health.
Board of Health.
Okay.
We probably have, well, I'm pretty sure we have the original applications, but they've changed a lot too, and it's much more. It's all the way back.
that's 20 years ago. That's 20 years ago.
Yeah. So the Riverfront Act was passed in 1996. So that's the most recent big change.
To your knowledge, is there any outstanding violations or matters that weren't complied with building on this lot? That would give basically.
Yeah, I don't know of any outstanding violations. We haven't extended any violations to any of the properties. However, I would say that the properties on that southern edge there, it looks really dry, but I know that they have frequently had to pump their basements out. So it's something to be aware of that, you know, if you built in this lot 10, I would strongly suggest you make a lot of basement. Doesn't mean you can't build there, just means you kind of need to be aware.
you have to remember, water will seek its own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when parameters are drawn up, that is what's going on.
Yeah.
Water's going to do what it wants to do.
The only other thing I think to know is that if you're planning on pumping water, like I have a sump pump in my basement, you can't go straight to the wall. For instance, it has to go out to where it can sink in. So you either
Somebody else in the
dry well, so basically a well full of rocks that you put the water in, and then it perks out, or some other means of it, a rain garden of it perking back in. So it's just something to think about ahead of time.
Any other suggestions or comments on this property and
Bonnie?
Well, I'm just the clerk here.
Yeah, we're here with that. So,
Well, I thought John had a really good suggestion to go with a ANRAD to begin with, where you would hire a wetland specialist to, like it's already been explained, but that do the entire property, and they would mark out all of the resource areas on that property, and that way then you can then put it on top of a map such as this, so that you could actually see what you would end up with for buildable lots without any problems. I think that it's easier. I think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like that suggestion myself. I would.
it seems
Just do the whole thing.
It's simple because everything just gets
Yeah.
done by one person who gets approved. The site visits all happen at once, basically. We have to also go out there and walk around the whole thing and look at it, make sure we agree with what they're seeing, we see. And it's all approved and you stay out of it. It's just simple.
And we just did it with a solar project. We had them do an ANRAD before they did anything more with a solar project. And it came back that they had to change some of their plans because what was on paper and what was in the field did not match.
Yeah, that is often the case, especially since we've had a lot of it here.
So if we had this done, it could actually some of these building lots are buildable because of maybe the changes in the wetlands.
Well, there could be wetlands we're not seeing. Right now, they're all buildable. But although I think along Curie Lane, that those are very narrow sites to try and build a house.
Could always go to planning board and like say
But-
5 and 6, make a vote.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
They
If
give
you
a
want
lots
to
join,
that trouble.
so you can build, so you can eliminate a line, so you can essentially build across the line.
Yep.
That's one option.
Or conversely, you could do the ANRAD and you could find that some of the lots are drier than they used to be,
Right.
Right.
you know,
Sure.
yeah.
That also happens. Marshes and logs sink into the ground. So. Have had some really wet years, but doesn't necessarily be the same. The main thing is just to remember that vernal pool also has a buffer. So it's because it's inside the marsh, its 100-foot buffer is going to essentially be the same. So.
And in your experience, whoever can answer this, what time frame usually exists for getting this process completed? And then
It's impossible to do in the winter, which we're pulling up on really fast. As long as they can get soil testing into the soil and see the leaves that are on the ground, see the water limits and stuff. They can usually do it up until about November. After that, we have to wait. The plants come back up, which is a tree.
So you would have to get somebody friendly.
Yeah. John, Greg, you have anything you want to add?
I'm good.
This is actually the first time.
There weren't any septic issues that I know of on the north side. There were issues with where the septics were placed on the. Oh yes, it is on the north side. Okay, against the pond there was some issue. Well, we went out there for a site visit for the one that's on the corner there. I forget, one of those in that front block. And when we were walking across there, we realized that where the septic pipes were coming up was clearly well within the pond buffer.
There's also.
I'm sorry, what?
There's also a storm drainage.
Yes, there is.
Have you spoken with the health department?
I have not.
Yeah, you should probably talk to health department and planning board.
Yeah.
we met with planning board last.
There were issues with all the pumping that went on from the south side. A lot of when some of those real big storms backaways, like 5 years maybe, there was a lot of pumping, and the natural thing was they pumped from their basement and they put it in the road. So it went from the road then into the septic backup retention, it's stormwater retention.
The problem is we don't have any piping.
Yeah.
The drain in the road is just a hole. So
That's not.
Yeah, no, there's a retention.
Well,
Yeah, it goes into retention.
the problem is it's not being
But it's
taken
not
away.
big enough to.
So the retention pond is just the water again can go see where it was.
And so there were. The road was never closed or anything like that. It's just that it was very worrisome to us that it was coming out from under all those houses and going into the retention facility and then coming essentially back out to the pond because it's overflowing. So that doesn't affect these lots back here as far as I know. Is there any retention back in that back section? It's all just up in the front, right?
2 lots on Eastern End.
These two big ones.
Yeah, nothing's been built back.
Could you come and point out for them where the retention stuff is?
Here, and there's. Yeah, you can actually. That's this, the dash lines on either side of the road. This is another.
Those are the retention ponds or?
Yeah.
They're subsurface infiltrators.
Okay.
So basically the idea is the stormwater goes there and it's supposed to kind of go through an infiltrator before it gets to the pond, so that it's not carrying oil and tire stuff into the pond. But they did over.
My point was about the piping that wasn't being carried away 10 miles away. It was still within that project, so.
We don't have storm system like the city does.
So
in the back, you've got
Storm drains.
So I think that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, it really is. Storm systems right out here. Stormwater manuals and try to drain as much as we can. So
Yeah. Yeah, things have changed a lot. The storms have changed a lot. We didn't used to require near the erosion barriers that we do now when people are building, because the storms are so big, they just wash them right down. Carry the sediment off, so we're a lot more careful on these. If you have other questions, feel free to call Bonnie. Or
Yeah.
she can, or I'm really bad on the phone. I don't hear all that great sound. But it's okay if you want to email me. I'll go right back.
Yeah, and they actually had the whole file, you know, for a couple of weeks.
So,
Thanks for organizing that a little bit.
you spent some time on this already.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on this one. We just want to make sure that we're going into it knowing everything and making a good decision, because there's a lot going on here.
There is.
There is. And that's why it's gotta be redone as far as I'm concerned, because all of the old is too old.
And we see our job as trying to help you figure out what you can do without DEP coming down on your back or some other thing.
I mean, but as a investor looking at this, we're looking at it as 14 lots. And, you know, it comes down to dollars, right? For us. So 14 lots against the cost of you know, the acre.
I understand.
Right? You know, so that's really why we're spending as much time as we are.
I'm well advised.
I'm not.
See, on the other hand, but you don't want to put something in that's going to be a nightmare for you.
Exactly. We don't, and the other piece of
So that's what, you know, we're trying to draw a line, but we're also trying to do it to help you, that you don't wind up in a problem.
And we don't also want to take on someone else's issues either, because things weren't done properly. So that's why we really are taking our time for this process.
Yeah, I don't think the electrical and the stuff like that isn't even in yet, right? For back there.
yeah.
Did you ever get the second? Did it ever get fully top coated? I know. Did it?
In July.
Okay. Because I know for a long time there was only.
But it's still not an approved street.
Oh, okay. So the town fathers haven't approved it yet.
No.
No. Okay. So that's another issue.
Put a plow on your truck. There you go.
They're plowing it.
But that's why you need to speak to the planning board. You need to speak to the Board of Health and find out.
The only one we haven't spoken to is Board of Health. Yeah, so we did the planning board last week. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, you're on the right track.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, keep this growing tonight.
I know, I missed going. We need her to come and see you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that. I rode with Bonnie's husband.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, we're expecting to get an NOI from 530 Glendale before the next meeting. So we'll send it out when it comes. I have no idea what's in it. just kind of a heads up, that could be a hairy issue.
Were you going to bring up?
And I would like to put feelers out to Ty and Bond, since they're familiar with the site, and they spent a lot of time out there. If they're willing to be our consultants on this next
Phase.
part of it.
Yeah, sure.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yep.
So I'll create a list of likely things that we're gonna wanna know. I know, for instance, if it's solar, that we're gonna wanna include the protections for the thermostats. And, remember we did that over on Stony Hill. Stone thermostat doesn't, because if the fluid runs out, where will it go?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. If I can get them to do a preliminary sound evaluation, because there's rules about 60 decibels above the ambient sound. And I would probably ask them about wildlife. I don't think they've exceeded the amount of tree cutting that prompts a wildlife habitat evaluation, but I would ask them to check that.
So you're assuming that they're going forward with the solar project though, right? I mean, we don't know that for sure.
It could be 2 houses.
Right.
It could be 1 house. It could be.
Yeah.
All we know is that they did send out notices to all the butters, but nothing in the notice.
Right.
Except that Rory did contact us and ask us what the final submission date was to make this meeting.
Oh, yeah, okay.
This engineer couldn't quite make that, so we're pretty sure it's very near to being presented, whatever it is. And the other thing is the planning board had taken up a discussion of beavers.
She just asked the question.
Judy, you got a question from Carolyn.
Oh,
Gina.
Gina?
She typed it in the chat. She wants to know
Yeah,
when.
I was just curious if they actually sent something out to abutters, because I don't think anybody's gotten anything, as far as I know.
Huh. Are you a direct abutter?
No, I'm not, but it looks like Darla wrote and she didn't get anything in the chat.
Yeah, supposedly they went out to the direct abutters, the ones that are required by the NOI.
Right. I know nobody's gotten anything, or nobody's gotten anything yet. We'll see.
All right. Well, officially they're still okay, because the meeting would the week of October. So
I don't know where I filed them right now, but the conservation and the planning board, we did get a pile of copies of what was sent to the abutters. And there was it was a blank. It was pretty much just the abutter's name and Rory's name on it. But I will dig those out tomorrow, and I'll send you a copy.
That's good. Okay.
Hi, just a quick question. Sorry to interrupt again. Would Bonnie be able to send that to me too by email, or I can come get it?
I thought I was talking to you.
I thought you meant the other members of the commission. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's perfect. You have my email. I'll be waiting.
I have your email.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, the last issue I was going to take up this evening is the select board has been talking about beavers, and there are very specific rules for beavers. So I will bring those at our next meeting. We can go over them then. Just so you have the materials. And
we have a problem with beavers?
Apparently.
We've always had some beaver activity at Laughing Brook.
Okay.
I think you were around when the last time that flooded and stuff. But apparently some other people have been having some beaver issues. And so it's very specific how deep he wants us to approach that.
Yep.
We'll just discuss that next time.
I know there's rules about busting up beaver dams and stuff. I know we run into them all the time kayaking.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you gonna vote on Ty and Bond?
Oh, we can. Yeah. I think official.
I think you should
make a motion.
All right. I move that we approach Ty and Bond to see if they are interested in taking on the consultation for 530 Glendale, since they're already familiar with whatever it is.
I'll second.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Any opposed?
We're gonna do the The minutes that you have here too?
You have minutes in there, yeah.
We do?
Yeah. Have me as absent on this. On Zoom.
Oh, sorry.
Just saying, I don't know if it matters.
Yeah, it matters.
Yeah, I guess you get overtime if you're here, right?
Yeah.
I'll just put in parentheses after your name, Zoom.
Yeah.
Cross out absent.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the August 16th meeting as they are with the correction that Tom was on Zoom.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I haven't seen them start work on Mill Road yet, huh?
No, they'll work on those roads. No. I haven't seen them do anything on, the, borings yet for the water thing, did you?
Oh, I haven't gone up there, so.
If you go up
Hmm.
around the loop,
Yeah.
I haven't seen any.
Yeah. I know
They did, and
I know the
missed.
gas company's working in Long Meadow right now, ripping all theirs up, and so I don't know if it's the same company.
Is
gonna
that the
do it.
gas company working on, Main Street in Wolverhampton by Rice?
Oh, that's right, they're doing that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I was driving, so I couldn't see what trucks they were, but
Yes.
I assumed that they were.
yeah, they're redoing the gas line there. They're extending the gas line in Wilbraham, actually. But they're replacing all the ones in Long Meadow.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Judy?
I have a question. Sorry, I'm late here. I'm from the VFW.
Ah,
Oh, okay.
Hey, Mr.
I,
Jones.
hi, how are you? Just asking a question about the if we talked about the roof for the pavilion.
yes.
Yes, it's all set.
It was approved with
Okay.
conditions. If you send us your email, we can send you a copy of the conditions.
Okay,
Or I can bring them down to the V. It's up to you.
that yeah, that'd probably be quicker. I'll probably see you down there soon.
Okay.
Well, why don't I give you the whole
Yeah.
thing?
I can go there right now after this and drop them off.
Okay.
I don't mind going to have a drink.
Are you bringing? bringing us- would you be treating
Sure.
us?
Yeah, why not?
Anything else?
Nope, that was all I had. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:25 PM.
Second, third, fourth.
There's a backup set of copies.
Okay, I'll grab them.
It doesn't have the actual RDA, but it has the conditions, which we.
I'll grab them.
Are you ready?
All right, John, I'm gonna mark this down as hand delivery. I
Okay.
didn't mark anything on it
I will
yet.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, he already did.
That's it.
Okay.
It's already been
Well, he
seconded.
put it in. He didn't vote though. Yeah.
No, he did it again.
Oh, I didn't hear it the second time. All right, so we're done. I'm gonna end
All
it.
in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned.
Cool.